Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we're looking at a 10-game slate on a Friday night for you guys here. In this one, we're taking a look at a pretty fun Eastern Conference matchup. The Nets are taking on those Toronto Raptors, struggling a little bit, playing in Toronto. Take a look at this one. Got another game video up for you and our player props, so continue to follow along by liking and subscribing to that page. Also, head to thelines.com. That's where we have our great written content for you guys and our odds finder tool that you can use to get the best juice back on all those bets in the NBA this season. Nate, let's jump into that 10-game slate and then talk about this Brooklyn-Toronto matchup.
Yeah, Toronto's struggling, that's for sure. I can't believe the spread is a pick-em, basically, if OG Anunoby's rolled out. But I'll get to that in a second. We got Hawks -1 at the Hornets. LaMelo Ball is expected to play there. The other game we break down, Kings are -5 at Pistons. We also think that's a little low. Given the discrepancy in talent there. Totals all the way at 240. The Warriors, without Steph Curry, are +8 at the Sixers. Gotta expect that to go poorly for them, but you never know with the trap game like this, so we're staying away for now. Pacers +8 at Cavs. The Magic are +13 at the Celtics because it's the Celtics at home, and Rob Williams might actually make his debut here. The Knicks +3 at the Bulls after beating the Bulls 2 nights ago. Wolves are +1.5 at Thunder. Blazers +3.5 at Mavs, and the Nuggets -1 at the Lakers to close things out. Yeah, I'm not seeing much early movement on this for the Nets, and it's surprising. I think we kind of forgot what the Nets could be if they, put all the bullshit aside, kind of, and just started playing basketball. Because if you look at this roster and the talent level, like if these weren't like human beings with distractions and mental issues, we could just, if you were playing a video game, you'd be like, you could crush all the way to a championship, and they still do have like the 4th or 5th shortest odds to win the title because of the talent level on this team, and they've been much better coached since Jacques Vaughn took over. I'm a huge Steve Nash guy, but not as good a coach, I think we can say, not as experienced, and the Nets defense has been far from a laughingstock since he took over. They've won 8 of their last 9 overall, with the only loss coming against the Boston Celtics, a well-rested Boston Celtics team at that point. And the offense has really taken off lately. Kyrie, speaking of distractions, is finally, I think, playing the kind of elite Kyrie ball we've come to expect when he is rolling. And he's got 29 or 30 points per game, along with good peripheral stats, 125 offensive rating in his last 3. The Nets have are scoring 122 in their last 4, sending 3 of those 4 over. And the over is not a bad play here, but I think the fact that I'm going to harp on how the Raptors defense is more of an issue, then that's why we like the Nets here. And the thing I circle back to is like, okay, cool. The Nets won 3 straight against the Raptors. Bet Kevin Durant played really well in those. Oh my God, no. 18 points per game, very low usage rate, like the closest you can come to shutting down KD. And sure enough, OG Anunoby was glued to him in all of those games. I mean, speaking of short odds, I think he has the 3rd shortest odds to win Defensive Player of the Year. When you take a guy like that out of the lineup, it's not shocking that, 124 defensive rating in 2 games for the Raptors. And those came against the Kangs and the Magic. We're not exactly a juggernaut here. But yeah, I mean, and on the season, they do allow the highest percentage inside the arc. So it is an area where Durant should operate really well. He did have 45 points against the Raptors, 4 games ago. And Kyrie's also killed the Raptors. So the reason they won those 3 games is defense. And then Kyrie, again, doing his thing with about 30 points on a 128 offensive rating. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't even get to have time to really go into the role players for the Nets and how well they're all playing now with Utah Watanabe back in the lineup, and Ben Simmons playing a role. I mean, becoming just a role player. Joe Harris getting healthier. Probably won't have Seth Curry for this one. I don't think it really matters because, I mean, you want size against Toronto. And they limit everything you need to. Number 1 in 2-point percentage allowed on the road. Number 4 paint points overall. 7 in fast break points allowed. That's what you need to stop with Toronto. The thing the Nets struggle with is 3-pointers, and Toronto can't hit threes, especially now with OG Anunoby out.
OG everywhere, man. You were excited to talk about that one. I'm with you. The only thing I vehemently disagree with is that you said the Orlando Magic were not exactly world beaters, and those are my Orlando Magic that you're talking about, who are the second longest win streak in the NBA at 4 in a row.
And
so
they're
just
plus
throwing that out there.
13
Another
off
time.
that.
No, they're plus 13. We're not talking about that one. I don't trust anybody to cover against the Celtics at home. I don't care what the spread is. So no, but in this one, yeah, they're the best team in the league in the last 9 games. Let's use everything we're saying here to let's caution ourselves with everything we're saying here. They played the Wizards, the Pacers, fine. The Hawks, awful right now. Hornets, lost to the Seas. Raptors didn't have Pascal. Wizards, Magic, who we didn't call world beaters, beat them by 7, didn't cover, and the Blazers without Dame. So, like, that is a brutally easy strength of schedule right there, right? And that's fine because the Raptors are in this wheelhouse of teams that we're talking about that they beat in this 9-game, surge, if you will, just failing to beat the Celtics. A 9-point game. They were in that game for a lot of it. But what you like to see, from the Nets right now. And I will say, I like what the Nets are doing. I was just asking some people, like, where's Jacques Vaughn lovers should be, like, talking about how, like, they said someone like Jacques Vaughn should have been the head coach from the jump. I will say he hasn't dealt with the nonsense either, right? Kyrie's been quiet. He got punished in a way that was probably a little bit harsh. We're not even getting into that. The point is once Kyrie came back, he's been chill. So as long as he's playing ball, like that's the way the Nets have been winning in this 9-game streak is really indicative and emblematic of the way that Kyrie plays basketball. A really high effective field goal percentage, a really good, a lot of assists and really good, points in the paint, as well as being able to obviously shoot from 3. And then the mid-range he's also doing, but Kevin Durant's already been doing that at such a high degree. They were already at the top of the league in mid-range. So, but opponent effective field goal percentage as well in that time frame. And really in general, they brought it all the way up to like 6th best in the league. If you're really, it's a make or miss league, Nate. If you're making buckets and you're not letting anybody else score, you're probably going to be just fine, right? Toronto, they score the ways that they've been scoring. They don't have a center, so it's all fast break, points off turnovers. There is the second chance points because everybody on their team is 6'9" or 10 with like really long arms, so all of them are crashing the offensive boards. And all these things are the ways you want to win, but it's all based on pace. And Brooklyn is happy to slow things down, hit their mid-range shots, and just play a lot better defense. Yeah, you talk about them not needing Seth Curry, and at very least it's because even in the games that he's been back during this streak for them, he's only had the 9 points. He's only had 4 3-point attempts a game, making less than 2. So I don't care that he's shooting it at a 40% clip. He's not even getting shots off. And he's really only been able to manage about 24 minutes per game in that time frame, because he's not getting the shots off and the looks that he's going to really need at this point. Watanabe is the guy at this point, and like you said, he's probably a big reason that they're not as worried about Steph coming back. He's only been back for a few games, but this is him ramping back up. I mean, we saw him score like 20 for a couple games in a row right before he got hurt. That's crucial for them. The Raptors just, I don't know, at some point, like, you're going to need to be able to like defend the paint. You're going to be able to need to rebound a little bit better and keep everybody else out of the paint. Maybe you don't need it in this game, but it's still just not a matchup for them that you're feeling as good about. You've also seen guys like Scotty Barnes a couple of days ago also had a few issues with the way that he's being used. So it just seems like some of it is a little bit of a fairy tale. And if Pascal's not playing at a super high rate, there's not enough guys making threes for them right now to really be able to, I think, overcome what they're going to be getting on offense from the Nets, who are super efficient. They're not necessarily playing super fast. They're just playing super efficiently. And I think they're very happy with like a 108, 102 type of game for the Nets, maybe 112, 104, whatever, in that like 215 to 220 range total, rather than what the Raptors would really like to get this thing ramped up and be able to score a bunch of points in transition. The Nets are going to, if they're going to have their way, I think they're going to be slowing it down and keeping themselves, keeping this game in their sort of style of play.
Yeah, because the Raptors do have more depth, and I mean that's usually based on whoever they're playing. But then the Nets, who are top heavy. But yeah, at some point they have to be able to score in the half court. Is like what we talked about for weeks with the Raptors. Is like the only way they're winning is by being more efficient than the other team, by grabbing a few extra opportunities and using those possessions. And when you're having a team like like the Nets with two extremely efficient superstars, I don't think that possession game is really going to work for you. It's why it hasn't in the last three, again, despite Kevin Durant not doing what he does, which is, not having any problem with big, rangy teams. If you think, oh, well, the Raptors, with Boucher and Siakam, all of arms flying all over him. Well, against Orlando, which starts like four centers, 45 points on 19 for 24 field goal shooting for Durant to carry the way there. So, I expect him to have a pretty good game, but I think the prop that's more exploitable is Kyrie only down at 24 points when he's getting 30 in his last three, and when the Raptors have had no answers for him. And so, I think both those guys will certainly come to play here. And I'm just fading the Raps at this point, even though they have a pretty good record at home. They're 3-8 straight up when they're underdogs. Like this team is what we thought they were. And they're 1-5 against this tough Atlantic division. So yeah, I'm on the Nets certainly at -1.
Absolutely, yeah. It's time to continue to get on the wave for them and see. Yeah, this is another good test to see if this streak is for real. I think the defense that they've shown, and again, some of these teams are playing really fast and with some pretty good offense, still limiting them, getting a bunch of unders as well in those wins. So feel pretty good about the way that they're playing and their ability to, like we said, stave off what the Raptors want to do the most. So, and that is all the time we have for you today. Continue to follow along. Got a couple other game video and our player props for you as we do each and every weekday this season. So until we see you next, happy betting.